Welcome to the For Your Thoughts podcast, where psychology, pop culture, and self meets. I'm here with Jeff. I just learned his name yesterday, his real name. Yeah. So wait. So I'm guessing you didn't shave your head because you got your beanie on.
Actually, I did, but just the beanie is comfortable. I'm comfortable with
No,
my
me too.
beanie
Me
on
too. And
it.
that's crazy. Like we're on the same vibe. So I was like, dang. I hope he don't show up like suited and booted.
Oh nah,
'Cause-
this
Okay.
how I
Okay.
do my all my events. Beanie on.
Good, good, good. So, tell us about yourself. So, I will say the reason why I picked you. I was on Clubhouse when Clubhouse was actually not crazy. It was actually like a
Right.
good time, and I was on this black male mental health chat
Hmm.
thingy or whatever. And I'm always really interested in to see like the emotional workings of a black man, especially. I have two brothers. We're really,
Hmm.
really close. I love men. And so it's just like, I just like want to know like what's really going on, because women
Right.
always have all these questions as to, especially black women, there's like so much love, but still so much of a disconnect. So that's why I was on that. And just
Hmm.
hearing all of y'all speak, like it's you and it was a bunch of others. I was like, wow, this is amazing. But you specifically was the whole God and therapy thing. I know that a
Hmm.
lot of black people grew up in the church and stuff like that, but we're not much so into therapy, mental health. It's
Right.
getting as of the past 2-3 years or
Hmm.
so. So everything you were saying, I was like, yes, yes, this is great, great. So yeah, I'm glad to like have you on. I'm glad I actually followed you. And on Easter, I was like, oh my God, like I should have him on. That's perfect to do
Yeah.
something like that for like an Easter special. So thanks for coming.
No doubt. No
Um,
doubt.
let the people know like who you are. And honestly, this is for me too, because we were just like keying about how, wait, how did we, how did it all work
Yeah.
out? So like tell me more about like who you are personally and then all about your brand. And then we can just go into all of the other topics.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, again, my name is Jeff. Jeff Cuthbertson. I'm actually here in Richmond, Virginia. Went to VCU for undergrad, Liberty for grad. I am right now currently an in-home counselor, in-home intensive counselor. So I work with adults and children. So it's qualified mental health professional where we deal with a lot of their mental health issues, such as oppositional defiant behaviors,
Okay.
PTSD, bipolar, things of that nature with the
Like
children and
intense,
the
like
intense, yeah,
things.
extremely,
Right,
extremely
right.
intense. And that's why it's intensive in home. So a lot of it needs to be hands on, and it's not really as structured as you coming into my office and we're kind of
Right.
scheduling out once a month sessions. I also am a substance abuse counselor working at the local methadone clinic. And so I deal with those individuals with their opiate addiction along with the mental health issues as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a combination of both where people will self-medicate themselves. Um, that's their response to dealing with their mental health issues and things of that
Mm-hmm.
nature. So that's two jobs that I do. And two things I do, I'm up at 4:30 in the morning and I go from 5:30 to 2 with the mental health, I mean not the mental health, but the substance abuse. And then
Mm-hmm.
right after that, I go into the in-home counseling. And then I also do now, I've created God Plus Therapy. And I didn't create it, actually God gave it to me. And just like you said earlier, know your audience, think about who you might be talking to. God Plus Therapy is for that individual who just does not know how to pray or is tired of hearing the response, just pray about your mental health issues.
Right, right.
Because even though prayer works and it gives you the tools and it gives you the peace and everything you need, but after you get up from that prayer, there's 90% of the time you're going to still feel that fear. You're still going to feel
Right.
that imposter syndrome. You're still going to feel the anxiety, the depression, all of those things. You're still going to feel those things physically. And so when the thing that God Plus Therapy says is we have to add the work to it. And the work is therapy. Therapy comes in so many different forms. It's easy for you to come into my office and let me lay you down on the couch with my clipboard
Right.
and talking to you and trying to figure out your past histories. But therapy
Mm-hmm.
can look so much different than that. Therapy can be you
Mm-hmm.
and a significant other baking a cake in the kitchen. Therapy can be you and your family building the
Mm-hmm.
fort on Sunday evening. Therapy can be you going on a girls' night. Therapy can be you and the brothers sitting around a bonfire having a cigar and drinking some bourbon. And just talking about the last game or something like that. It's so many
Right.
different forms of therapy. It could be you doing yoga. It could be you doing just meditating in the middle of your room in complete silence. It's so many different forms to achieve that therapy that people overlook those things and people just say, "Hey, I'm not afraid. I'm just not comfortable going to someone, talking to someone like that."
Yeah,
Well, if
like I
that's
don't
the
know
case,
them.
right? I don't know them. I'm not
Yeah.
going to share my stuff with them. Well, if that's the case, then you have a beach right up the street. You have a park right up the street where you can sit down and actually discuss those things with yourself by journaling or by doing a voice log of those things. And so those are the three things about me. That's how I guess you could say how I make my money. That's where the money resides. Those three
Right.
things,
Right. Right.
where the money resides. Go
So
ahead.
what made you personally, well, before this,
Mm, talk to
before
me.
this, we always go into pen pal letters as an icebreaker,
Okay.
but normally our pen pal letters are real light to break the
Hmm.
ice, but this person asked something that wasn't that light, but we can just go into it because that's just the
Let's do
order
it.
of the show normally.
Let's do
And I was like, okay, he's better at this than I would, in a
it.
sense where like they basically asked about being like agnostic, like and
Ooh,
what you and agnostic. Have you heard of
yeah,
that before?
kind of. Yeah, go ahead,
So
keep
it's like
going.
a person who believes that nothing is known or can
Hmm.
be known of the existence of nature of God or of anything beyond material phenomena. A
Hmm.
person who claims neither faith nor disbelief in God.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
So someone asked that. So I'm just like, okay.
So
I can
ask.
tell you what
So,
I think. I
uh-huh.
can go first.
Go ahead.
Okay. So what I think is that that's just somebody who hasn't felt like what God really truly is, or even if
Hmm.
they have, that's like they wouldn't label it as such, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because I think I feel God in all different types of ways.
Hmm.
And I also believe in whatever you want to believe in. But for me, like in a material sense, I've seen him come out in material things like
Hmm.
all throughout my life. Like me
Hmm.
sitting right here, it like having this flesh is material to me. So that's what I think about that specifically. And for someone who believes in that, I would kind of just ask for them to like think like, is your mind being closed off to a sense
Hmm.
because of all of the negative stuff that people say about God and religion? Or like have you know like why, or is it just a question of just like thought, or why haven't you like took the time to kind of like sit down and really think about like where does this come from?
Hmm.
And it might be someone I'm guessing is like who probably have seen a lot of negative stuff when it comes to
Hmm.
God, and they're just like, you
Hmm.
know what, I don't really see who this person is.
Hmm.
How can I even like believe this in a sense or
Yeah.
whatever?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I think. And then also with religion, period, I did want to say this as well before I started. I think that like I think religion is more so of like where you were placed in the world. Although I believe in God, it's like where you were placed in the world, and it all kind of means the same thing. It's all a higher power, a higher being. It's all like a
Hmm.
moral code in a sense.
Hmm.
But there's different stories, there's different things, and to each its own. As long as you're a
Hmm.
good person and you're not messing
Hmm.
with me or my people, like
Hmm.
you're
Hmm.
good or whatever. So yeah, I think that's what I think about like religion, period, and then about that as well. I just think whoever is questioning that, just continue your journey of spirituality and finding
Hmm.
it from all over the place. Like who knows?
Hmm.
But I will say personally, I felt God. I've seen him over and over again in different material things
Hmm.
per se.
Hmm.
Yeah.
His question was, what would I say to someone like that?
Like what do you think about it?
Or what do I think about it? So here's the
Yeah.
thing.
So it's
Um,
broad. You can take it
yeah,
wherever.
yeah. And
Hmm.
so the funny thing about that, and I love that question. Here's the thing. Anytime I do a session,
Right.
anytime I do a facilitate a group or anything of that nature, I
Mhm.
tell them two things, especially my substance abuse groups, right? I tell them two things. One, it's two things you need to know about me, because if you don't know these things about me, you're not going to get what I'm trying to get onto you or get you to
Right.
understand. And the first thing you need to know is I've been where you've been. I've been through a substance abuse issue. I've been through alcoholism, the whole nine. I tell them that. And that's kind of relate with them, okay? The second thing I tell them, I'm unapologetically a man of God, right? I tell them that. Now, right after I tell them that, I tell them, I'm not telling you this to push my faith onto you. And so I
Right.
would tell that individual too. I'm not telling you this to push my faith onto you. I'm just telling you what I believe in. And what I would follow up with is, I just want you to find something to believe in. Because if you don't believe in something, you're going to fall for everything.
See.
Right. And so here's the thing. And I tell them that all the time. I tell them, if I can scream for the Pittsburgh Steelers the way I do on Sunday afternoon, I can
Right.
definitely have that same passion, the same energy for Jesus and for the kingdom, right? And so I tell them that all again. I make sure I remind them that I'm not pushing my faith on you. I just know how I got my peace. Just lost my mother and my
Exactly.
grandmother last year. I know where I get my peace from, how to deal with that grief. I lost a job, went through a divorce. You know, I know where I can go to get my peace. And so I don't push that onto them. Now, another thing I tell people, someone who may resonate with him, is I tell them, a lot of people make Christianity too big, too big. It's not that big. If you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna, if you can call it meditation, prayer, it's all the same thing. It's
Right.
literally all the same thing. You're
Mm-hmm.
literally trying to build a consciousness in yourself, because once you increase your consciousness, your manifestation will increase, right? So
Right.
when you're meditating, you're trying to center yourself. You're trying to find where you are. You're trying to listen to your heart. You're trying to listen to
Clarity.
your emotions, clear your head. When you're praying, you're literally centering yourself, but you're just talking to God. So because you're talking to someone who already knows what you're going through. He already knows everything about you. He just wants you to say it out loud so you can hear yourself going through it.
Recognize and
It's
make
no
the
different.
changes necessary.
Yeah, it's no difference. Christians call it worship. We call it, the world, they call it enjoying music. That's pretty much
joy and ease.
Right.
Right.
Right. And so it's just no difference. I just challenge people, encourage people, not gonna challenge people, but encourage people to not just make it such a big deal. Oh, now I'm Christian. Now I gotta speak in tongues. I don't gotta speak in tongues. No. And I don't know if I really want to speak in tongues. Yeah. I don't know what's going on right there. So that's not my ministry. I'm not gonna try to do it and not gonna force it on myself. Okay. I'm not gonna do that. If I find myself in a situation where I feel like I can't pray right then I just find one verse and I meditate on it. So again, you just find one little thing, one small thing, and not try to make it this big thing and think that, okay, all right, I believe in you, God. Now I'm ready for this Holy Spirit to make me a zombie. It's not gonna look like that. Just like you said, he can speak through a song, he can speak through a conversation, he can speak through a movie, he can speak through so many different things, and people just feel like it's this loud voice that's coming out of thunder, sounds like thunder, when he says, "What are you doing, my son or my daughter?" And it's like, y'all need to stop watching these movies. Stop watching these movies. And I think when people start making it too big and too much and overpowering and overwhelming, then they tend to say, you know what, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to. That makes me scared. So I'm gonna go off and I'm gonna believe in the trees and the birds and all of that stuff. And again, I'm not knocking that, because I want you to believe in something, because I don't want you to fall for every single thing. But it's literally the same, because you're believing in something that God has created. Yeah, so
I like what you said, like the theme of it all. And even what I would say, and when, like, I've been in church my whole life, but when I say I really like knew who God was for real, was when I was 18. And then I had like another, there's levels, you know? So it's like, it really is in a plain and simple, like how I found like peace for real, because life is crazy as hell. It's girl, you's gonna shank you, but like that peace is something I wouldn't trade for the world. And to me, that feeling is there. I don't need to see no materials, but to feel for that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like priceless, honestly. So because that's really all that we need. I don't know, but I love that. That's good.
Now you nailed it. You're right. Life is crazy. If we don't have something to give us that peace, we're going to fall victim to that adversity and whatever life throws at us. All these
ain't no material. You're going to lose all your stuff.
So it's like, you think at it, you think about it. The Christianity world, the Christian mind calls it the attacks from the enemy, right? The world, we just call it life is crazy. Right. Life is throwing punches at me. Like, so it's all the same thing. It's just worded differently.
That's good. So, okay. So back to your story. So, what made you be like, hey, I want to be a therapist or go to school for that?
Okay. So great. No, that's another great question. I have been through, just like everybody else, been through a world of mess, right? A world of mess. And ironically, believe it or not, this has been a calling on me since since God knows when. I just remember everyone always, even in like high school, going into college, I just remember people always coming to me, Jeff, what do you think? What do you think I should do? I'm like, bro, what? Like, why is everybody, like, I'm a follower of Jeff, and everyone always will say, Jeff, you are a leader. People are going to follow you. I was the point guard on the team. The way you move is how the team's going to move. I was one of the captains on the defense in football. The way you play is how people are going to play. So I need you full energy for this. And it's like, what is this? I never really paid any mind to it. In actuality, so when I graduated from college, VCU, I went into criminal justice. I was a probation officer for 13 years. So I went into my first career doing this, but it was frustrating. It was completely frustrating because as a probation officer, which probation to my mind does not work, because it's more focused on, are you going to work? Are you living in the same place? Are you using? Okay, now that's done. Come back next week or come back next month. It's like,
do more than that.
Yeah. And it's like they were giving us these questions and these practices to do, and it's the same thing I need to do with an 18-year-old black male with a 44-year-old white man. And it's like, whoa, you can't do that. I can't use the same questions I'm talking to a 52-year-old white male to a 32-year-old black female or black woman. You know, and so it's like it was like stifling. Like I couldn't be free. I couldn't be what God had created me to be. And I remember times where I'll be in offices, in meetings and things, and I'll say like, hey, this is not getting to the core. We're not going to reduce recidivism because the fact we're not figuring out why they are actually doing what they're doing. We're just kind of like playing numbers. Like, he mess up, violate him. It's like I felt like a professional snitch. Like, literally, like, oh, judge, you did this. You need to do something to him. It's like, at what point do we get to the point where we get to the core of these things? At what point do we get to the why? Because once we figure out the why, now we're able to figure out a solution and come together with a plan on how to stay out of the system and stay away from the thought process that you need to do this to survive, you know? And so so it wasn't me. God literally took me out of that because I literally started identifying myself as that. Like, I identify, people ask me, what are you? I'm like, I'm a probation officer. And I was like, that's not what you are. So I need to hurry up and get you out of this. So he literally snatched me out of it. And that was heartbreaking. Like, I think about something that you did for 13 years. And then God was like, nope, I'm gonna take you away.
Like took you, like,
just
like
took
you
me
got
out.
fired?
Yeah. Out of nowhere. So here, how crazy.
Like, that wasn't even your plan. That wasn't your plan.
It wasn't my plan or nothing. The fight was out of nowhere. They moved me to the gang unit. I went to gang training after that. Came back, they were like, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And I was like, but you just gave me this caseload. Like, and then once I got the caseload, I was shipped off like the next 2 days to go to a weekend training. And it was such an uproar that every PO in the office, like, PO started leaving. It was like, yo, they're doing you wrong. You need to do grievances. And I was like, I'm at peace right now. It's like, how can you be at peace? Like, they're not supposed to do this. And I was like, yo, I'm gonna be honest, going back to God, like, literally provided peace. Now, the next morning when I woke up and laid on that couch and I looked around, I was like, what? The devil. I'm not at peace. I'm not at peace. I'm not at peace.
Like, I don't got no job.
Yeah, I don't got no job. I'm like, what is this? And it was crazy. Even when I was in probation, a lot of my coworkers were doing in-home counseling. So I was like, what is this? Because that's what we normally do. I was like, what is this? I got introduced to it. And the guy was like, hey, in order for you to do this, you need to go back to school. So I was like, I was thinking about going back to school. So I'm gonna go back and get my master's. So I went to Liberty and got my master's in criminal justice counseling. So not only was I getting it in counseling and learning how to be a counselor and how to be a therapist, I was also getting it in criminal justice and getting it in the law and getting it where I was learning about unprivileged neighborhoods and things of that nature, how to navigate through their psyche, their mindset. So I was like,
kind of like what you were saying before about how you can't give them the same system.
It lined up.
I really do hate, like, when I had like horrible insurance, I still went to therapy. I don't care, but it was like government therapy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I just noticed, because I went to school for psychology for my undergrad and I have my master's as well.
Yeah.
And I just noticed, like, the questions and stuff, like, you can't ask me this stuff. Like, this is not my demo for like what you're trying to help me with. And I realized like how many people are really just a number, and like how much it sucks that like people who don't have any money or who don't have whatever, like they just get treated like in a certain way, which is crazy, because I've seen both sides. Like, I've went from good to bad to back to good. So it's just like, yo, the whole system is just like, why is it like that?
It's a horrible system. And so I got into that counseling and in-home counseling and started loving it, because it was no ropes there. It was no boundaries there. It was like, hey, Jeff, do what you have to do to get this individual to feel better about themselves. Do what you have to do to get this individual to become mentally strong. I said, I love this. I loved it. And I dived into it and I was like, man, I wish I could just do this full time, but this ain't gonna pay the bills. And so now I'm laying on the couch after getting fired, but I'm still doing the in-home counseling. So I said, okay, God, show me what you want me to do. Next thing I know, he said, go create with the information that you learn and the lessons that you learn and the trainings you got. Go create your own company. Go create your own counseling firm. I said, cool. I started off doing that. Then while I was doing that, I turned it. Someone directed me to the methadone clinic. So now I have a full-time job with the in-home counseling and doing the same thing. And then I created this thing called, it was called Impact Counseling with an M. It was like mountains, moving through mountains. And I started off going well. I was getting speaking engagements. I was turning myself into a motivational speaker and all of this stuff.
Brand.
Yeah, it was a brand coming, and then boom, COVID hit. I was like, oh.
That's what COVID is a lot. Yeah.
Like, okay, here we go. Now this is different.
Yeah.
So that kind of fell down. If you notice, I do have that page still on Instagram, but I just do a little bit with it. But it boosts. So when it fell, it provided space and opportunity for God to put a new thought in my mind, which was God plus therapy, and just putting everything together. Because so I was kept hearing people say, "Yo, I'm tired of people telling me to go pray about this. I'm tired of praying."
I was like, yo, questions. Like, it's like God is not a genie. Like, and it's just kind of like, yes, pray about it. And I believe in miracles too. Like, doing some stuff, I'd be like, oh my God, like what? But
Yep.
the work though, like the work is for real, for real. Like, okay, so what do you think about this quote? This is from, I'm not sure if you've heard of her, Dr. Anita Phillips. She
Yep.
is,
I know her. Yep.
okay, yeah. So
We're
she
good friends.
always
You're good
says,
friends.
she's dope. She's so dope. She always says, when you are emotionally healthy, you are more powerful spiritually. Because I
Hmm.
do believe that there's some Christians that really just don't think that they need that. Like,
Hmm.
they're just so gung ho, and not to judge anyone or their life, but I'm a super empathetic person, and I like will look into, be like, but
Hmm.
you could use some,
Hmm.
therapy in a sense or whatever. So like, what do you think about that quote? And just like, also people who've grown up in the church for most of their life, and like, what do you think that they could change in the sense of like with the help of therapy and like doing the inner work, like, and what have you seen, just kind of speak to that period.
So with that quote, I love that quote because I tell pastors all the time, if your congregation is emotionally healthy, they're going to be stronger for your church. They're gonna want to serve. They're gonna want to tithe. They're gonna want to be all in with your organization. So I tell pastors all the time, you don't want a spiritually healthy church, or you want that, but before you get there, you want an emotionally healthy church, because they can be spiritually healthy, but they can still be hurt. They can still be good. Here's the perfect example of that. And this is why I love what God has given me, this gift he's given me, because I literally can take stories in the Bible and show people how therapy has played a part in them. And this is the perfect example of that statement. The woman that was bleeding for 12 years, right? And tired for those 12 years, you can't sit here and tell me she wasn't facing anxiety, depression, isolation. Nobody wanted to talk to her. She was probably wanting to kill herself. She probably had suicidal thoughts. I'm talking PTSD. I'm talking everything that you could probably think of. She was probably going through it. And this is how you know. When she touched God, she was physically healed. If you go back and read that story, I encourage you to go back and read that story. She was healed twice in that whole story, if you think about it. Reading it, it says she was healed twice. Once she touched God, even this is what a sound mind can do. Even with all those negative thoughts, that one thought she had, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I'm going to be healed. She was able to focus on one solid thought, one positive thought. And I can encourage people, if you can just focus on one positive thought, it can change your situation. Literally change your situation. It can create a behavior that's going to cause you to change your situation. So what happens is she touched him. What happened? She physically is healed. She's not bleeding no more. But watch this. When Jesus turned around and said, "Who touched me?" she still was scared to stand up and say it was her.
Yeah.
Because she still felt
like she
pain.
was that person.
Yeah, she was physically healed.
All of that stuff. Yeah.
Yes, she was physically healed. On the outside, I'm good. On the outside, I look good on Sunday morning. I'm good on Sunday morning. I'm coming with my Sunday best. I got my smile on, but I just left an abusive relationship before I got here. So mentally inside, I'm horrible. I'm cracked. I still feel incomplete. And so she was scared to say, she was like, it was me. Even though I'm physically healed, I'm not bleeding no more. I don't stink no more. I'm good now. But it was me, God. It was me, Jesus. And so Jesus said, come here. Jesus literally come there and said, come here. And this is the only place in the Bible he said, my daughter, you are healed now. And the reason he did that, because Jesus knew she was healed physically, but he knew that her mental wasn't right.
I got chills. Wow.
Her mental wasn't right. And so Jesus said, yo, and think about this. Think about when you have a peace that passes all understanding, your giving is going to be stronger. Your serving, your heart is going to be strong. You're just going to be operating a sober mind, and a mind that is like, I can overcome anything. And when Jesus said to her, my daughter, you are now healed. She's not only was she healed physically, but she was healed mentally. And now she can walk away and say, you know what? I'm a completely new person. And it all started off with focusing on one thought, allowing that one thought to create a behavior that changes the atmosphere.
I think people think that it's just so much work, which it's not, but it is. And sometimes healing is not easy. That's another thing. People think that, okay, I'm going to go to therapy and everything's going to be fixed. Like, it's not like that either. It's like, it's a work in progress, just like your relationship with God is a work in progress as well.
Right.
So that is so good. And you said that, that's the only time that God said that to somebody.
The only time he would call someone his daughter. That's the only time, because he knew how critical it was. He knew,
to make her feel like
and that's why you need God plus therapy, because he knows exactly where you are. He knows if the beach is going to do it, or a park is going to do it, or riding jet skis going to do it, or getting flued out going to do it. Like he knows, I'm silly, right? But he knows what type of therapy you need. He knows what to say to it, which is why you need to add him to it. You can't just go out here and just do therapy by itself. You can't just go out here and just do God by itself. Right. You add both of them to it. That work is going to create evidence, and that evidence is going to create a stronger faith.
Yeah, and then even with the stronger faith and evidence also, because I think a big part of faith is sharing that with somebody else and bringing someone else up and stuff like that. And if sometimes people are just like, well, you still doing this and that, or you still acting this sad or whatever, and you all up in the church, so why would I go, whatever. But the both of those, that's really not going to be the case. Like people will seriously see like true progression, and not because of a fear of God, although we do fear God like as we should, but like in a sense of like, I want this for myself and he wants it for me, like, so I think that'll just encourage more people to, become believers also.
Yeah, I agree.
That's good. So like, what do you think that the real thing was? I want to say was with church, like with the church and therapy, because I know there's like, of course, like counseling, like marriage counseling, but it's from the pastor and whatnot. But like, I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, and I went to like a Kenyan church, so it's a different story. So in the Black church specifically, like, what do you think the thing was with just people going to therapy?
People not educated.
Or people acknowledging that something's wrong, or not even wrong, but
people are not educated. And when you're not educated, you create assumptions, you create lies, you create myths, you create these bogus stories. I'm gonna be real with you. Yes, I'm gonna apologize, man, God, but you create these BS. You create a lot of BS when it comes to that. And then once you create those things, you tell someone else, and then you tell someone else your thoughts, and then they tell someone else. Now there's a whole stigma around it. Right? There's once there's a stigma around it, once that stigma is stamped on that thing, everybody turns his back from it, or everybody's just afraid to.
I would want to say, sorry to cut you off, but like,
no, you're fine.
That you're crazy if you go, or or that like something's wrong, like you're not holding your shit together, and especially like it's like women, like you trying to be strong and stuff. But it's like this is like this life, especially living in America, like Black people, period. We already have everything to deal with, And it's okay to admit, like, hey, I'm not okay right now. I need some help. Like, right.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And again, once you have that stigma on it, now you have pastors who are afraid to touch it, who are afraid to go there because they don't want to lose their congregation. But I encourage pastors. I talk to my pastor all the time, like, bro, we definitely need to talk about this, because you don't want to lose people because of their mental health. You don't want to lose people. You want to lose people because you convicted them. If you just said something on that thing and it hit home and they don't want to be touched anymore, they don't want to go there anymore, because now you place them in an uncomfortable space and they don't know how to live in that uncomfortable space. You don't want to lose people because they're just they're mentally not healthy. So we have, like you said, we have these couples ministries, these singles ministries, these usher ministries, and all these other like counseling sessions and all this stuff, but you never hear any church say, and now you can say any church, but there are churches out there.
Now they are.
Now they are. Yeah. And I love those type of churches, but you don't really have those revivals for mental health revival, like where people can come and just literally get mentally strong, and having some licensed people there to answer questions, because without answered questions, there is no wisdom and there is no education. Without that education, here comes that stigma again.
Yeah. And a lot of things is like their thoughts that people have that like they just think no one else has, like whether it's a suicidal thought, whether it's like addiction and stuff like that. Because even if it's not addiction in a sense as you're on the street, there's, like you say, like self-medicating and stuff like that, and being able to function very much so highly, be at church and everything, but you're still like, addicted, but you think it's just you. So I think that's like would be like, that's why we need this stuff like
definitely.
This, definitely. Let me see. Okay, we want to do that one. Okay, so I think one thing, this might be off the topic, but we gonna just go with this. But one thing is that I think as like I walked with like through my journey and stuff, now I'm at the point where it's like, okay, like hearing from God and like what he wants me to do other than what I want to do, right? And like we talked about earlier, you were talking about how it's not this like daunting big voice like telling you what to do and stuff like that. And as of recently, I started like fasting, or just start like, doing it here and there, whatever, whether it's for a week, whatever the case may be, and like just gaining that clarity. So speak more on that in a sense, and like I guess like your experience personally with like
Okay.
confirmations from God, which you kind of did as well,
Mm-hmm.
and then like what that feels like and sounds like, especially when it comes to dating. Like
Okay, I got you.
my brothers and sisters, and like seriously, like you think you know me, you don't know, and then it's like, does he want this for me? Does he not? I think he does. I could have sworn he told me that was my
Mm-hmm.
man. I thought
Mm-hmm.
that like he said that, but what's really going on? And like the line between like doing the work and then just letting go and letting God, you know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
like really hearing from him, like it's like a, you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
I hope I explained that right.
that's a dope question actually. So here's the thing, and
Okay.
I definitely will go in detail about how I've heard God voice before and how he
Yeah.
physically shown himself. But the thing about let's take your example for like dating, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you have to understand is like in First Corinthians, I know it's in there between Genesis and Revelation, somewhere in
Mm-hmm.
there. What I'm about to say,
It's not.
it says it says be guarded. Period. It says be guarded. Period. And so you always want to be guarded. You always want to protect your gift. You always want to protect that gift, and that gift I'm speaking of is the life that God has given you. You always want to be protective of that. Think about when you get that new car. I wish somebody would cut me off or park too close to it, or let a shopping cart try to run into it, like, or let somebody try to key it, or like I'm gonna park a little bit further away because I don't want nobody to open the door and accidentally hit my new car. Because if you hit my new car, don't try me, try Jesus.
Exactly. Like
straight up.
Straight up. Yes.
And so you want to be guarded with your life. You want to be guarded. You always want to say, you know what, God has given me this thing. I can't just let anybody touch it.
That's good.
I can't just let anybody play with it, you know? And so then right after that, it says, stand firm in what you believe. So what is it that you believe in? Like, are you standing firm in that you believe that you're fearful? Or are you standing firm that you are courageous?
Right.
So what am I standing firm in? What am I 10 toes down? I'm not
in
moving.
The situation, right?
You know, I'm not moving. This is what I am. I'm courageous. I'm not gonna let some hillbilly, whatever this dude is saying to me or doing to me, he may be saying anything, but his behavior not may match it. Well, you know what? I know what I am.
Yeah.
So I'm standing 10 toes down and I'm not moving because of what I believe in. So I can care less what you got going on over here. Now, for a personal example, I can show you exactly what
Wait, hold on one second.
No, do your thing.
My computer is about to die, which is
you get your charger.
I don't know.
Get your charger.
My charger's sitting right here. Like, why? Don't make no sense. Okay, we're good. Is my phone good too? Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, that's the thing. You want to make sure that you stand, you know what you believe in, because God is telling us to stand firm in what you believe in. Some Bible says stand firm in your faith. Okay, stand firm in knowing that God is telling us to be courageous and not be full of fear.
Right, and not be insecure, and
not be insecure, not be all of that. Like, because God was like, yo, I created. If you're gonna guard this thing, to act like you guarded something dope. Stop treating yourself as like an old Sonata or old Honda.
Right.
You know, like stop treating yourself that way. And so my personal story, I've been divorced.
Okay.
Right. Inside of that divorce, I learned. I went through counseling, went through therapy, went through the whole thing, and I learned inside that divorce that I didn't effectively communicate my thoughts and feelings. Right. Now, so the reason I didn't, and because of that, I didn't give her a chance to even be my wife.
Right.
She didn't even have a chance. So yes, it was some things that she did and some things, and that's what I did. And that hits when you don't even have a chance. Think about how frustrating that would be for you, right? Like, I'm not even, your husband not even giving you a chance.
Right. Like, so in a sense, just to make sure we're making it clear, because I get it, but for the people, like, you didn't even give her that space to like really be there for you,
to work it,
because you weren't even expressing those things.
Imagine for my brothers who are gonna be listening, imagine being the dopest dude on the team, but coach ain't even give you a chance to play, and he's sitting you on the bench. You sitting there like, I'm better than all y'all. If you could just give me a chance to get on the court. And a lot of times what we're gonna do is we're gonna be like, all right, well, he ain't seeing my potential. I'm gonna transfer. I'm gonna go to another school. You know? So it's just like that. It's the same situation where I didn't give her a chance. And I learned that inside of counseling. I learned that I didn't communicate myself in the way. Now I'm gonna tell you exactly how I feel. How it, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you exactly how I feel, what is going on in my mind. Now, I said that because this is how God speaks. I said that because I remember after the divorce, I fell deep. I mean, deep into a hole. You remember when Orange is the New Black came out? So picture this. Picture a young man living in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Trust me, you don't want to know where that's at. You don't want to know where it's at.
I don't.
Trust me, you don't want to know. You don't want to know. So imagine living in that in a space like that, or a place there, coming home on Monday through Thursday, sitting in the dark, laying on the couch, holding his cell phone, right? Watching Orange is the New Black with a bottle of Hennessy beside him. We're not talking about the airplane bottle. We're not talking about the little personal bottle.
I was gonna say bottled wine.
Nah, we talking the 750 milliliter boy, and he drinking all of that or half of that on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday and Saturday, you get 2 because it's the weekend. Waking up and taking shots because you feel like you can't operate in life unless you have some type of substance in your body, right? So that's how bad it was. I'm talking isolation.
And going to work while going to work?
Yes.
Okay.
Functioning. I'm talking a severe case of isolation where I wouldn't even pick up the phone for my mother, right? Yeah. Nobody. And so moving on to that, moving back home with my mom and trying to get myself together. And I realized, and one thing God did, God spoke through my mom. He spoke to my mom because you got to think, okay, how did the guy who was doing that can be the guy that's standing in front of you right now? Right. And so he used my mom. And so I want people to hear this clearly. Like, again, he's not going to use he's not going to come down and thunder his voice. He's going to use something that's close to you, that meaningful to you, because he knows you're going to listen to that. Maybe it's your favorite song. You know, maybe it's your favorite book, or maybe it's your favorite podcast. Maybe it's your best friend. For me, it was my mom. My mom was my rock. She was everything for me, right? Right. And so she came to me and literally in our house, and I was sitting on the edge of the bed, and she was hitting me in my chest just like this. She was like, "This is not the man I raised. Yeah, you can do better." So I was like, "Whoo." Like the whole, like it was just like boom, it just came out of me, and I was like, right, I got to do better. And I got back into probation. So that's, look now, if you listening to me, that's the first time I lost my job. Yeah,
right? Yeah, okay.
That was the first time. Okay. Then I went back to probation. I went back to being a probation officer, came back to Richmond, Virginia. And then I was like, oh man, I'm back home. I'm back in Richmond. This is where it all started. I went to school here. I know it, my frat here, like my friends here. Like I'm back. Like the prodigal son is back. Let's get it. Let's party. We're rocking now. You know what I mean? It's lit. So I'm back out, and I'm not even thinking that I should be addressing this thing in a certain way. Now watch how God speaks. This is how God speaks. One of my good friends called me, right? One of my good friends, one of those loyal friends, or he called me. I said, yo, I got you no matter what. I'm on the way to, you know what Howard University is? They have this party doing homecoming called Henny Palooza. I'm still drinking. I'm still wilding out.
My people do say, well, yes. Now do say Palooza, but yes.
Shout out so we have Henny Palooza.
Everybody, love you guys, but yeah.
Let's get it. And so my best friend flew from Florida because my birthday weekend came up. I'm in the car on 95. You know 95, you from North, in New York. So I'm on 95 headed to DC, right? I got a bottle in my lap the size of an 8-year-old toddler of Hennessy in my lap going to Henny Palooza. What was you thinking, John? Like, but I'm headed there, right? My
in your lap, like you had already
I was in the passenger seat. It was my birthday, so I was in the passenger seat. He was driving. Cool. Yeah, I won't drive. Right. But I'm on the way there.
Pre-game.
And yeah, pre-game. You drinking Henny to go to a Henny party. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. But we was lit.
Everybody was doing that.
We was lit. We was having fun. And so I remember him calling me on the way to that party. He was like, yo, I need you. I said, you need me? What's up? Whatever you need, I got you. He said, nah, I just need you. He wouldn't tell me what it was. Never heard from him again. Okay. And so I hope y'all hear the emotional turmoil I was in, because I was drinking like I don't know what, like emotional drinking. Like I was in a hole. I was literally in hell mentally. Right. And so he used my one of my good friends and said, yo, I need you. I said, okay, cool. Went to the party, had fun, passed out, had a homecoming fun, had the best fun ever. Came back, looked on Instagram. I said, dang, he's doing something. What's this countdown thing he doing? Oh, he's starting a church. Cool, I'm gonna show up. It's my boy's church. I'm gonna show up. I said, cool. Went out that Saturday night, came in, sat in the back because I smelled like the night before. Next thing I came back, I enjoyed it. I came back. Next thing I know, I was sitting in the middle. Before you know it, I was sitting in the front. Before you know it, I was doing offering, picking up offering. Before you know it, I was head of security. Before you know it, I was facilitating the men's life group and been doing it since day one. Had one guy. This is the beginning of the church. The church is 5 years old now. I'm a full-blown leader in that church. Facilitating men's group. Was just with him. Me and him, we have these 5 a.m. calls, check on each other. Me and the pastor do it often. And
wait, let's go back. So he just needed you for help or for something?
For the church.
For that day?
No, he needed me. He told me, for the whole for bringing the church to light.
Got you.
I was about to get to that point. So he came. Okay. We had a conversation. He said, Jeff, I don't know why God told me to do this, but he literally told me, before you can start this church, you need Jeff. And he was like, Jeff, because I had this reputation of, Jeff is a wild boy.
Yeah.
Like, he out here in these streets. And he was like, Jeff, you sure? And he was like, yes. God told me to go get you, and I can't start the church until I have you on staff or have you here. He said, when I saw you walk through the front door, he said, I almost dropped the mic in the middle of the sermon because I didn't no idea that you was going to do it. Like he said, I got goosebumps. And it confirmed that God was speaking through this whole thing. Now, I want people to hear, I wouldn't have done any of that if it wasn't for God to speak through my mom first. Then he spoke through my friend, right? Do I have a drink every once in a while? Yeah. Am I drinking a toddler-sized bottle of Hennessy now? Absolutely not.
No, right.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Nowhere near that. But it was because of how God spoke to use my ways. Yes, he used my people who I really. There you go. And so God will lead you. He's not going to give it to you right then and there, but he's going to speak to you in small ways. It's like breadcrumbs. Once I was able to get past the test, or not even the test, or the speaking of my mom, I was ready for the next level.
Yeah.
I couldn't go straight to Vernon, because if I went straight to my pastor Vernon, if we skipped my mom, I'd have still been home. And I'm like, I ain't coming out there for what?
Right.
I ain't going down there. I'm chilling right here where I'm at. I'm good. And so he had to speak through my mom, to speak through to my good friend. And so then here it goes. Now I'm gonna bring my marriage back into it. Now watch this. I hated marriage then. Hated the whole concept of marriage. It's like, I'm never doing it again. Never doing it again.
Before, after?
This is after my divorce. So for what? Never doing that again.
Wait, sidebar, right. What made you get married in the first place, and what made you choose her?
I thought it was time.
Okay.
It was that wasn't God at all. I'll be honest with you, up until when I was a young kid going to college, to church, I went to church because it was girls there. Like I wasn't like you. I wasn't born to church. Like I went to church.
Oh, but you knew that all the bad biddies with the good head on their shoulders was there.
Yeah, let me get them, because they like bad boys. They like bad boys. I was the one that they dad don't want to bring. Don't you bring Jeff to my house? Yeah. I'm coming to church with the long white tee, Jordans, and baggy jeans. Like, I'm here. What's good? I love God.
And you were probably the one that they thought they found. They wanted somebody who was at church but still had that little edge.
Had that little edge, but I was like, no, I'm just at church. I'm just at church. I'm all edge. I'm all edge. Now I'm probably like, I'm not. Now you can say, look, I got the edge and I got the church with it too. Right. Now. So now you can say that. But I remember back then, I was talking about one of my good friends now. We known each other for 15 years. I told her straight up and down, I'm never getting married again. I don't like the concept of it. I was disappointed in the concept. I was disappointed. It was a bad taste. I'm never trying that again. It was almost like you ever had like beets and 8 beets. It's like, I'm never eating that mess again. That mess was disgusting. Never doing it again. I want my 3-bedroom house, a big grill, a big dog, a basketball court, and then my son. I'm good. That's all I want. I'm good. And so it was funny because I got baptized, right? I rededicated my life. And those who have never done it, I encourage you to get baptized. Because when I came out of that water, my whole perspective on life changed. It was like I cleaned the lens off. Yeah. And I went from the TV with the bunny ears to a high definition HD TV. It was like, I'm seeing stuff on this game that I've never seen before. That young lady that I told that I would never get married again, she's my wife now. Literally. Love that. She's my wife now.
Sis, I love that.
Literally. So she jokes all the time. She was like, I didn't take you seriously when you was trying to shoot your shot. Mind you, we've known each other for 15 years. Right. So I shot my shot. She was like, I didn't take you seriously. You're Jeff. Like everybody knows Jeff. That? Yeah, why would I go to that? Because you still got that little edge to you or whatever. Yeah. But it was because the guy opened my eyes and saw her in a different way. I saw marriage in a different way. Let me show you what he did though. He gave me a whole new definition of what a husband is. he said you need to stop looking at it as a individual and start looking at it as a role. You're a leader, Jeff. I'm calling you to be a leader. If you remember, I told you way back, this thing started in high school on the football field and in the basketball court where people say, yo, the team gonna move how you move, Jeff. You're a leader, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, what that got to do? He said, if I'm gonna call you to lead the community and lead the church and lead the streets, lead the streets. Yeah, definitely. Let me say that. Lead the streets. Yeah. You need something that you lead at home, because the boys ain't gonna believe in you if you're going home and you have nothing to lead. I said, yo, that's a completely different perspective.
For
now
real.
I'm approaching it with a completely different perspective.
And with the male ego that y'all already have, but I mean, that's good. That's where it's supposed to be now. Yeah.
Now I come in with a different perspective. It's like, yo, if I don't do this, then I'm not being a leader.
Right.
And so, like, nah, my pride is too strong for that. No, I'm about to do this. What? Right. I gotta sit here and watch Housewives? So all right, I'm gonna sit here and watch Housewives.
Because men do want to be that guy, like everywhere, like with their homeboys on the court, like at work.
Want to be that nigga. You want to be that
macho
nigga.
ass person, whatever. And it's just like, okay, but in your home though, like that, and that's where it really matters, because that's your legacy. Like we're on right in this present moment when you think about that. Like, so I love that. That's a great way for men to like think about it.
That's how you look at it. It's like, if you're gonna be that nigga at the crib, then you could be that nigga anywhere you walk. To be honest with you.
And then like when you love a woman, right? Like she gives you everything and then more of like what you need to make you even more of that nigga.
I tell men all the time, bro, she's an incubator. Whatever you give her, she's gonna produce it. If you give her a house, she's gonna give you a home. I'm telling you right now, if you give her SHIT, she's gonna give you hell.
For real.
I'm being real with you.
That's how it is.
Whatever you give her, she's gonna produce something out of it. Make sure what you give her, she can produce something that's positive and produce peace out of it, because that's what they do. They produce stuff. They make things.
And it's like men complain about, oh my God, like why is she acting like this or making this, whatever. It's like, because you gave her shit, so she made it.
Exactly. So what you expect? This is what you're giving her. What do you expect her to produce? Like, what do you expect her to give back? Like,
and most women naturally want to like follow and submit in that sense, of course, because really it's like we're right here, but yes, like you guys have something that like is built for leadership a little bit more. Personally, that's what I think. Y'all don't shoot me about that, but only to somebody who knows what they're doing, and only to somebody who really cares, you know what I'm saying, about me, my family, or whatever the case may be. Because otherwise, like, why would I do that? It sounds like
what if it's like I tell a lot. I use a lot of sports analogies for my men. It's like, if you're the quarterback and you know for a fact that every time you throw the ball to that receiver, he either drops it or he doesn't get the first down. He either drops it or he fumbles it after he gets tackled. So he may catch it, but as soon as he gets tackled, he fumbles it, right? Because his hands are not good, right? That's what she feels like every time she throws you the ball. You're either dropping it, you're either fumbling it, and he's like, yo, I ain't looking at it that way. He said, now the receiver on the other side, that 5-star recruit, every time he touches, it's to the house. Every time he touches, it's a first down. Every time he touches, it's a play. Every time you throw it, you can just throw it around him. 1-hand catch, 2-hand catch behind his back. Like, he's outstanding. He's on SportsCenter every weekend. And of course, that's going to be her favorite target. Of course, that's what every time she drops back, she's going to want to go straight to him. So be that guy.
Like, she's going to try to do it with you, but after a while, it's kind of like, yo, so what would you say to the man who, because I feel like some men do this, I'm not sure if they really believe it or not, but they're kind of like, oh, maybe it's just not meant to work, or when a bag is fumbled or whatever the case may be, you know, but I feel like all like relationships are work, like it's going to be fumbled sooner than later. But some men, as soon as anything gets kind of hard or looks kind of shaky, they just like back away or do whatever, you know, like that's what happens to a lot of like my friends, has happened to me, you know what I'm saying? In a sense, it's like, what do we do with that? And what do you think they should do with that also?
So here again, watch this analogy, because you're going to love it. I would ask them, have you ever played sports? Ask them, have you ever played sports? And they're going to probably say yes. And I want you to tell them that same passion that you had to drive for that championship or that ring or to win that game or to overcome that adversity. Why don't you have it with me? Why don't you treat me the way you treated that championship? Because anytime you play sports, or anytime you are in any type of competitive sports, right? You're going to have adversity. You're going to face an injury. You're gonna face fatigue. You're gonna be tired. Ask them how many times they had a hard practice, and the coach was like, one more rep.
They did, yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
so
One more rep. And you're like, all right, I can do it. Because you know if you do that one more rep, it's gonna get you stronger. And it's gonna make you stronger so you can be stronger in the field or stronger on the court. And because you're stronger on the court, you're gonna get one step closer to that championship. Ask them, why aren't you treating me the same way you treat that championship? You did everything. You sweated blood, sweat, and tears for that championship. I am your championship. I am your ring. Treat me as such, because the same joy and excitement that you got from that championship, I can give it to you 10 times more. And when you say that, it's a whole new.
You gotta work for it.
Yeah,
we have to work for it, not even just together.
It's a together thing. It's a together thing. And once you change the perspective on how a man views the work, then he's going to put that work in. And once he put that work in, it's going to make you want to put that more work into.
Yeah.
And then when both of y'all put in that work in, when both of y'all are consistent on learning each other's love languages, when you both consistent on learning how each other talk to each other, or both consistent on learning your ups and downs, when both of you got, And here's the beautiful thing. I also will tell men, now watch this though, I will also tell men, she is not responsible for your happiness. And I tell women that too.
Vice versa.
Not responsible for your happiness. Do not ask another human being, go back to what you're standing on. Are you standing firm on that you are courageous? Because you should never ask another human being to provide your happiness. Oh, I love because she didn't make me happy. That ain't her job, bro. That ain't his job, sis. That's God's job.
And when she's not, then what? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like you're asking me to do something that I physically cannot do. I cannot make you happy all the time. Now, there are moments where I could, and that's only because God is using me. The only reason I was able to gain peace is because my mom, God used my mom. So you cannot say, okay, she didn't make me happy for a whole year. She didn't make me happy. Bro, that ain't her job. That ain't her job. Sis, that ain't his job. It's God's job.
I was going to ask, but that kind of answered my question. Like, how do you do marriage now and then dating? But you answered all of that in that.
Yeah.
So I did want to ask about, we still have a little bit more to go. This is really good. Just let me know if you have a time thing.
We good.
Probably about a good more 15 minutes and then we're good.
That's perfect. Yeah, we good.
Cool. Like about Derrick Jaxn and like that, and like how people, not even just men, honestly, because it can go outside of even just like relationships, but use like the word, like manipulate it, like, and use that to manipulate lots of like situations and stuff like that. And that's another thing that I think turns non-believers off, just like, what the hell do y'all have going on over there? Because that don't make any sense or whatever. And not even the cheating, because people do fall, whatever, but no, don't cheat. But just the whole thing within itself. What do you think about that?
So I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I thought it was a publicity stunt.
The whole thing.
I swear I thought it was a publicity stunt. And you want to know why? Because I had no idea who he was.
Me neither.
No idea who he was. If it wasn't for this mess right here, I would never went on his page.
Me neither.
And I think there's a whole lot of people out here who sit in my shoes. So I believe maybe he did cheat. But I truly believe, now watch this. And now people have told me, nah, Javi, I don't know. But my imagination is like on 1,000, especially when I read the Bible. My imagination is like, I'm putting Jordans in my Bible, I'm putting amusement parks in my Bible. I'm putting all kinds of stuff in the Bible. And so when I saw that, I was like, bro, he probably did this when they were dating or something a long time ago. And so they want to reenact this thing so that we can buy their book.
And in the book, he's talking about like, that's the storyline of the book.
Yeah. And so I truly believe that after that camera went off, they probably went and got some seafood boils. And they probably sitting around drinking wine and looking at the comments and laughing at each other. And like they probably hired a special influencer. Okay, I want you to sit like this. You hold her hand like this. I want you to say this, and then I want you to do that. Now, that was my thought. I'm still sticking with it. I could be completely wrong. The one thing I do not like about it, though, let's say it's all true. Here's the thing I don't like about it, and this is another reason why I created God Plus Therapy. If this is true, and this is complete, everything is what they're going through is actually facts, right? I don't want her to hide behind the spirituality. She's hiding behind God.
Right.
And a lot of Christians, what we do is we will hide behind God. I'm gonna pray and I'm gonna do this, and God got me. No, sis, you're dealing with some mental stuff right now. And if you don't address those things, if you don't address those things, you're going to crumble. You really need to get out and address those mental stuff, that mental stuff that you're dealing with, those mental thoughts, those self-defeating thoughts that you're having late at night, those self-harmful vocabulary words that you're using later during the day, you know, with your girlfriend or behind the door, the things that you're saying to yourself, how you're communicating to yourself. If you don't deal with those things, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you don't want to be.
Right. And then it goes back to what you said before, which I love this, and I'm going to take this, so I hope the listeners do too. But like, what do you know yourself to be, and what do you know like God wants you to be? Like being courageous, not being of fear, not being insecure. Like if you go through her post, it was full of fear and insecurity and self-doubt and things that are not of God.
Not of God.
So just that right there can let you know, sis,
she's not good. She's not good. And then you hear, right. She's not good. And then you hear her say, no, I'm fine. I'm praying to God. We're praying, God protecting us, and God is doing that. And then what you're doing is you're creating people like that guy who asked that question in the pen pal.
Right.
Because he's like, but you're saying God got you. But 2 days ago, your post said that you are full of fear, that you're dealing with stress and you're dealing with depression and you're sad. And when we saw the video, you said that with the meanest attitude the whole time. And it's like, this doesn't look like God. It's like, and so a lot of Christians, what we're doing, again, I don't want people to hear me, I don't want people to hear this and not say, oh, he don't like God at all. No, you gotta pray, but you cannot just be and hide behind that prayer and not put any work to it.
And this is good, because this is good for just our whole combo period, because if she was going to therapy in this whole situation, this wouldn't even be a thing. You know what I'm saying?
Would look different.
It would look very much so different. So that's why we say God plus therapy, because like it wouldn't be like that. Your therapist would be like, different. Hold on, sis.
Yeah. Even if she decides, the way they'll work it out will look different. The way they will look, it will look completely different.
The way they even came to the camera and to show us all that.
Completely
Keep that
different.
At home.
Perfect example. If you look at Prince Harry and help me out. What's your sister name?
Harry and Meghan Markle.
So if you look at how they handled their situation, you can tell they're still in love. You can see a man protecting, and I know it's a completely different situation.
Right, but I can see you
can see their like the difference. Like this man is taking his wife away from royalty, right? And you just see the connection with them, right? With them, you don't see any connection with them, with Jaxn.
Yeah, right.
And it's because like they're just going off of pure emotion. And if you go through therapy, you learn how to not go off pure emotion and how to put your thoughts before your emotion. And so even the reconciliation, or even when they're trying to get together, it will look different. It will feel different. You will feel the love in it. You will feel the peace in it. I'm sitting here trying to think of a couple that actually went through this and actually good right now. What's one of the Mary sisters? There's one of them. I know it's so. This was not. Yeah, her husband cheated.
Black Love a lot.
Yeah, her husband cheated multiple times.
Yeah,
but if you see them together now, you would think
they're at least connected.
Yes,
which would make me feel safe about her. Like
right. Like, you don't see.
Some people can actually take that in a sense, like it depends on what they've been through, what they've seen. But like, are you connected? Are you safe? Are you sound? Like that's the story.
Right.
That's good.
That's it. That's it.
Keep going.
No, you good. No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
To bring this on to the next thing, this was actually my brother's question, my older brother's question. He was saying, since like, I'm gonna try to, he's so articulate, I'm gonna try to, okay. So there's like hella different narratives on social media. So of what like a man, quote unquote man, should be, or what the idea of it is. So we have like Derrick Jaxn's, we have the just people on like a Mike Todd, whoever the case may be, who's love Mike Todd. But then we also have things like Lil Nas X and like that whole storyline, and just like even just like Dwayne Wade's son and like all of that type of stuff. And it's just like so much going on. And even we can even take it to how it's like a bunch of kids, like YouTube kids and influencers who are becoming millionaires at like 16 years old. And like younger men and younger women have access to seeing all this stuff on social media now. Before, all we had to watch was like Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. Like,
you was in
now we have like a 15-year-old kid being like, you can become a YouTube Bitcoin millionaire what are you doing? It's like, I'm just trying
Yeah.
to be a lifeguard. You know what I'm saying? So with all of that, like, and when it comes to identity and like your son and stuff like that, like, or also, what would you tell like your younger self and your son in a sense of like the cutting out the noise, but still like finding your own identity freely? And I do love the access that the internet has all gave us, because this wouldn't happen if we didn't have it as well. Like a son or yourself growing up now, like, you know, what would be like your advice to them? Like, what would you tell them on how to just like stand true in yourself and develop your own identity, whether that is you being transgender, whether that is, you know, whatever the case may be. But
Whatever the case may
just
be.
so much, it's just so much. It's kind of just like,
Yeah, it's a lot. So the one thing I would tell my son or my younger self and your brother and whoever else is dealing with this, the Christian mind is not anti-culture, it's just counterculture. So what I mean by that, now watch this. If you're in a season where you don't know who you are, you don't know your identity, the last thing you need to do is watch movies, listen to podcasts of people giving you your identity or telling you who you are. Because that's the world. The world is going to always tell you who you are. You need coping mechanisms to combat that narrative, right? The easiest thing to do is I am statements. That's the easiest thing to do is create your I am statements. Because here's the thing: if I'm dealing with substance abuse issues, the last thing I need to do is watch Scarface. Right. If I'm dating this young lady and she doesn't want me, we don't want to have sex until we get married, the last thing I need to do is be at home watching porn. Right now, I'm gonna even go watch stuff deeper. I'm gonna use porn again. If my marriage, when we're inside of marriage and we can open up this gift called sex and stuff like that, if my marriage bed is not what it's supposed to be and I want it to be a little bit more, the last thing I need to do is watch porn, because what it's going to do is it's going to create this facade in your mind. And then you can come to your wife and say, look, I want to flip you upside down, put your leg up in the air. Your wife might be like, nah,
like I can't.
Yeah, really. I'm not feeling that. And now she don't really want to do that with you. Now you're frustrated because you went out and got some information for something that you weren't supposed to do, instead of sitting down and saying, babe, what are you comfortable with? And saying stuff like that. And so here's the thing: when you're trying to find your identity, you need to limit the resources that are trying to tell you what you are, because everything we turn on is going to say, like you said, oh, be this, oh, be that, or do this, or do that. You live in America, you can be whatever you want to be. But guess what? Even Jordan picked up a baseball. We saw what that happened. You weren't supposed to be over there. Right. You were supposed to be over there swinging that baseball. Right. You were called to play basketball. That's what you were called to do. That's how you inspired others. You inspired nobody picking up that baseball. And so here's the key. You have to sit in your own space. You have to figure out, okay, before I figure out who I am, I got to figure out what I am. Okay, I'm a man of peace. I'm mentally strong. I'm confident. I'm focused. I am a good husband. I am a good father. I am a business owner. I'm a producer. You got to find out what you are first. Right. Because once you find out what you are, you're going to open up the doors for opportunity. And opportunity don't just show up. Yeah, it doesn't just show up. It's showing up because you did something. And you walked as such. Like you walked like you were all those things. Opportunity sees you like, yo, he over there doing something. Let me knock on his door. I ain't knocking on somebody's door that I don't know, because I don't care about what you're doing. Right. You ain't doing nothing. I ain't gonna go on your door, but I'm gonna knock on your door because I see you doing something. It's like, yo, he or she is doing something. What else you got going on? Because I can give you this. And so you're walking in a way, you're walking in what you know you are. You're not allowing the world, you're not allowing Lil Nas X to tell you what you are, to go do this, to go do that. If you're going to be gay, then be gay. Yeah. You're not doing it because somebody else is doing it. Yeah, you're not doing it because someone else is telling you to do it. You're not being a rapper because someone else is being a rapper. You're being a rapper because you sat at home. Yeah, you sat at home and said to yourself, this is what I am. This is what I am. Yeah. This is what brings me peace. This is what, and then here's you go even a step deeper, and you have to ask God, is this what you called me to be? I thought I was a probation officer. For 13 years of my life, I identified that. God was like, no, I'm calling you to be a counselor. You are a counselor, John. It's like, oh, I was in the wrong space this entire time. Imagine what I would be and how much money I would have if I started off doing this mess. You know, and so when you have to sit down and say, God, show me. Speak to me. How am I? What is it that you want me to be? What area you want me to be in, so that I can delight you, so I can be in delight, so you can call me your son, so you can call me your daughter. And then once you are in His will and His calling, guess what? Oh my God, you're gonna be hand over fist with the money coming in, and hand over fist.
And with the peace, like that's how you know where you're supposed to be, because the peace is there.
It's the peace.
It's the
peace that it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like you're being forced to do this. This is something I've been called to do. I've been called to do this. You've been called to do this podcast, which is why it brings you so much peace. This is a calling of yours. You've been called to bring people together to get information out into the world. And so you're doing it effortlessly. You can do it at 2:00 in the morning. You can get off right this one and go get on another conversation with somebody else, because you love to do it, and because God has given you that gift to do it, and not because somebody on Instagram told you to do it.
Right.
You know,
very true. I love
so you have to limit yourself. You can't be, you got to take time where you say, you know what, for this week, I'm not gonna get on Instagram. Or you have to limit like your interaction with certain pages. I got to stop following this page, because every time I see this page, now I'm comparing myself to that page. And now I find myself in this space of imposter syndrome, or I find the spirit of the perfectionism coming in. And once perfectionism coming in, it's like, yo, you out bad now. Now you feel like you can do no wrong, and we only grow when we do wrong.
That's good. Okay. So we're almost saying, okay, we got 3 more questions.
All right.
I almost forgot about this one, but it was, 2 things I want to talk about is sex before marriage, and then also with you talking about like your experience with drinking and things like that. Like, what do you see now as a healthy balance for it all? Or like, what is your thoughts on both of them? Because I feel like a lot of us do indulge or whatever, and there's definitely like some people can handle more than others, to each its own in all different ways. But sometimes also Christianity is like, don't do this, don't do that. That's how I was raised, stuff like that. But yeah, what do you think about that? We can do sex before marriage first, and then also talk about indulging in all whatever. Yeah.
Okay. So the sex before marriage thing, I am not gonna sit here and be a hypocrite and say don't do it when I've done it before.
Right.
I'm not gonna sit here and tell you to do. I'm not, and I've never done it. I completely understand that sometimes our flesh just takes over. But we do understand that you're not. Sex is meant for marriage. It's a gift when done correctly. It's an amazing thing. Don't lose the desire to do it. Because so here's the thing I get frustrated with churches. The churches tell us, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Right. Pray the desire away, pray the desire away. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm not praying my desire away. I'm not doing it. Because if I pray that desire away and then I get in my marriage and then I don't have the desire to do it, what's the point of getting married? Like, yo, what are you doing? Like, this is what we supposed to get married for. We supposed to do this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Without any remorse or guilt. Like, look, the fact that I got married, I could do this before I go to church. Right. But again, I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite. Like, I've done it. I went to college, lived the undergrad life. I'm frat. You know, like I've done it. Now my wife didn't. She did. And one thing here's the thing I get frustrated too about church, because what happens is they get this. You get this. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And when you get married, there's individuals who still feel like you're not supposed to do it. So it makes
don't know what.
So they in this like weird limbo world.
It's don't want to talk about it. And
am I allowed to do it? Oh, you want to do what? It's like, yeah, I want to do that. yeah. Do I need to say it again? Like, yo, how about I'm gonna say it? You go think about it, ponder about it. We come back and talk about it.
Right.
Yeah, I want to do that, and I just don't want to do that on holidays.
Right. My whole thing, like, let me interlude real quick. It's like, at first I was like, nah, like that don't make no sense to me. I don't understand why, because it seemed like more so like a punishment situation, like wait for this. And then also it seemed like if you do it, you're gonna go to hell at my church back in the day.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it was like that. So it was scary, and I'm like rebellious. So I'm just like, nah, I'm gonna do whatever I want.
I'm out here.
But now that I'm older and now that I've found God for real, I get like where it's coming from. I don't think it was in a thing to where like, you know, like let's save this for this. It's in a thing to where when you're building something like a relationship, your marriage, your home, whatever, like sex and like that can cloud your brain and cloud a lot of stuff and make you think things are not what they are, make you, I guess, like more lenient towards things you would normally be, whatever. So I think that's really what he put that in there for, in a sense. It's to like, and whether it's like marriage physically or just like you knowing yourself and you knowing them for real, outside of you just loving their little stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I think he meant. So you guys can have a strong marriage, a foundation to continue further his will.
Yeah.
That's what and I'm like,
So
okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And again, so personal thing with my wife and I, when we were dating and we were recording, we didn't do it. And right. I remember, and again, so let's take sober. So there was been moments where we were on the couch and stuff like that, and she literally would stop me. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on.
Wait, marriage or before?
This is before, of course.
Oh,
don't stop me
when
now.
it was like doing
stop me now. But yeah, and so it was moments where we stopped and we had to go pray, and I'm like, all right, this is awkward. Mind you, I'm not the one who lived in church, who was born in church. Like I was adopted to church. She was molded by the church. And so I'm sitting there like, pray for what? Like, we're just kissing. And so, I had to respect that. I had to completely respect it. It made sense. Again, one of those things, you don't want to open up a gift prematurely.
Right.
You never want to open up a gift prematurely.
Especially with the person that you I think men should take that as like a plus. Because with the person that you actually want to be with, you want to do everything, you know, in the best way. And that's really what it's about. Like a homeboy down the street, some people just be like, okay, whatever. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like with people that you want to actually be with, you want to make sure you're doing it right.
If you remember what I said, that first statement was be guarded with the gift that God gives. Be guarded with that gift. And you don't want to just, not only do you don't want to give your time up, you don't want to give your money up, you don't want to give, you know what I'm saying, you don't want to give your emotions up, you don't want to give your body up, like you just want to be guarded with that gift because that gift is only given once. And so like you said, yeah, he looked good. Yeah, she looked good. She might be thick as I don't know what. She might be Megan Stallion thick. You know what I mean? Yeah. She might got that wop. But again, you want to be guarded. You want to be guarded with your body because again, you lay down with that, who knows what's going to happen when you come up mentally. Emotionally,
you have all the time in the world. Like if that is your wife, is or isn't, y'all got all the time in the world.
You got all the time in the world. Like you can do it wherever you want to do it. It's your wife, and that's the beautiful thing about that.
Take your time and have levels and steps.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Okay. Okay. And then lastly, we kind of answered the other one, so I'm just gonna go on to the last part. This is like on the grief topic, and this is from my brother also, and me too. So if I tear up. Sorry, but
that's all right.
So we lost my brother's best friend, who was like my best friend as well, like our whole brother, right?
Okay.
So this was last December. So it was like my first time losing someone ever, and I didn't know what it would feel like. And honestly, I think God made me strong. I'm like the only girl. I have a huge princess complex, so I'm the one who's just gonna fall out and whatever. But for some reason, I was like so strong. I don't know where it came from, but like, of course, my brothers, it was a lot for them. But so his question was kind of like, he described their relationship like David and Jonathan in the Bible, like they were besties for real, bounce ideas off of, like all of the dreams and plans they had as like homeboys, like some start to come to fruition and whatever the case may be. But one thing that's like getting to him is like something, I guess, some encouraging words for someone who feels like, damn, all these dreams and stuff we had planned, like I won't be able to see that with him. And like, those are like, that's one question that he had. So we go there, and then he had two other more, but all that were on grief. But that was like his top 3 feelings is what I'm about to express to you right now. But that was the first one.
I promise you, I'm probably going to answer all 3 questions without even hearing what I'm about to say. So dealing with grief. This is a trigger statement. It's a trigger topic. It can easily be triggered. It can trigger emotions. One thing about grief, and I'm gonna tell you how I'm glad you brought this up and made it last, because if you know, I've been. No, take your time.
Everything is dying. Okay.
You're all right. All right, you ready? Cool. So it's a dope topic, and I'm glad that he because I'm thinking God, I feel like God is putting me into adding more to my counseling helmet or my tool shed, because I started doing more research on it, and I think I might go back and get some license on it. But the grief thing is tough. It's extremely tough, and I am in the middle of dealing with it myself.
Yeah, now I'm putting the stories together with your mom, and even
that. Okay. So in September, my mom passed out of nowhere. It was the worst 11 days of my life. out of nowhere. Be a week before she passed, she literally rode her bike 2.3 miles, my dad. Literally.
But she was fit and everything and just,
Literally. And just like every day it was something different. From white blood cell count was high. We had to put her on the incubator. She had to go to ICU. The blood pressure was going high. We can't do a bone marrow to test out what cancer this is because of the blood pressure and because of the white blood cell. Now she went into cardiac arrest. If we go in another one, she's going. If we do the breathing joint, it's gonna break a rib. My mom passed with me sitting Indian style on the floor, looking at her on the bed. So I'm sitting there like, bruh, at what point, God, did you think it was good at the age of 36 to take my rock away from me? Right. Every issue that I've ever been through, my mom was right there pointing me in my chest saying, this is not who I raised. I remember in college, my senior year, sitting on the floor, studying for like political science class or some crap. Like I was sitting there, notebook papers all over the place. I'm sitting there like, yo, I'm not gonna pass this class. And so I called my mom, and she said she always knew how to get me going. She said, I ain't paying for college. You had a 4-year scholarship, 4 years, and you done. Get out of there in 4 years. I'm not paying for you. I was like, all right, let me get it right. But so I'm glad of this. And then 2 months later, my grandmother, her mom. So we had to relive the same funeral home, dealing with the same, putting funeral stuff together, preparing to speak at the funeral. And I'm sitting there like, bruh, come on now. Come on, bruh. Come on. And so now it's a point where this is a pain that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy.
Right.
The loss of a parent or a sibling or something like that. Like that's a pain that I have never felt before. It's crazy. And it's weird thing about it. And I'm glad you said, forgive me if I cry, because one thing that people don't understand is 1 minute you could be laughing, 2 minutes you bound.
No,
it's like, yo.
Last Saturday I was like ballistically crying because my little brother came to visit for the first time. Yeah. I guess just being around my brother reminded me of like, that is our brother. My mom raised him as well. Yeah. Although he was not my physical, my physical brother, whatever. So being around my little brother, I don't know why. It just hit me because everyone was supposed to visit and I couldn't take it. Yeah, and I was fine.
Trust me, I'm sitting there. I got pictures in my phone that I would never delete, even though some of them were triggers. Like I'm like, she would never see my son grow up anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, what in the world? So it's like, okay, she would never see my daughter grow up or take her first steps. Mm-hmm. It's like, what in the world is going on here? Like, how do I move forward? How do I keep going? Right. And so to answer your brother's question, I'm gonna give 2 answers. I'm gonna give a spiritual answer, and then I'm gonna especially give a practical answer, because I don't like to just give motivation and then tell you going about your business. Now I love to give people things to actually do. The spiritual answer, God took me to a story in the book to show you how my imagination works. He took me into a story in the book, and in the story of the book, again, it's between Genesis and Revelation. Don't ask me where. I just know it's in there. Okay? Fact check me, you can Google it, it's in there. All right. Mm-hmm. So in this story, Jesus told the disciples, he said, let's get in the boat and let's go across the water. Let's go to the other side. And so I'm thinking, again, my imagination is solid. I'm thinking there's some sneaker stores over there. There's like some parties joints over there, some clubs over there, some stuff over there to do. It's like food over there, all these high-end stores over. It's like, it's lit over there. We're going. If Jesus wants to go over there, it's a reason why he wants us to go over there. But in this story, as soon as they got in the boat, a storm came. Again, my imagination hit, and I'm thinking it's like Katrina on 3000, right? Because in the story, it says the boat is rocking, the disciples are trying to get water out the boat, it's lightning, the wind going, the storm, it's just a big giant storm. And then the disciples ran to the back of the boat, and Jesus was in the back of the boat, sleep, chilling, or laying his head on the pillow, just relax. And they waking him up really, really fast. And this is the first story God took me to after my mom passed, when I was in the first phase of anger. It's 7 stages of it. But that first phase of anger, like, y'all, why? What are you doing? What is this? I'm pissed off at you right now. And he took me to that story. And they went back and they were shaking him up, waking him up, waking him up. He said, do you not care that we're going to die? This is what the disciples saying to him. Do you not care that we're going to die? Like, our lives are in danger here. We're freaking out. Jesus, what in the world are we going to do? What's going to happen? How are we going to get to the other side? This storm is going to destroy the boat. Jesus got him and said, wind, be still. and the wind was still.
Mm-hmm.
The wind was peaceful, right? Mm-hmm. And so God said two things out of that story. He said, the promise is still the promise. Your promise is still the promise. You're still going to be an amazing counselor. Mm-hmm. I'm still going to, you got to top on COVID and quarantine and all my speaking games that I have set up for 2021 or 2021, all of those things and everything that I lost in 2020, they're still going to, he said, they're still going to happen. You're still going to be what I'm calling you to be. So don't freak out. Then he said, you have to engage me first. Mm-hmm. In order for me to stop the storm, you have to engage me first. So the first thing I'm going to tell you and your family is you have to engage God first. Mm-hmm. You have to. That's the first thing the disciples did. They ran back there and they engaged him into the situation. God, I'm freaking out. Do you not care that this thing is killing me inside? This is insane. It's a lot. I feel like I'm going to fall apart. And he woke up and said, be still. Now, if the disciples never done that, they'll still be trying to get water out the boat. Yeah. They'll still be freaking out. So the first thing we have to do, because I'm including me in this, because we all in the same boat. You lost your brother, I lost my mom and my grandmother. We have to engage God first. So those moments, and you know what moments I'm talking about. When those moments come, embrace those moments and say, God, I'm having a moment. That's all you have to do. Say, God, I'm having a moment. Because now you're allowing yourself to embrace that, to hold that moment and live in that moment. Because we know the moment doesn't last long. It's a quick moment, like, oh crap, something remind me, crap, I'm crying. I can't take it no more. Yeah, I can't take it no more. All right, I'm gonna sit in this moment, All right, I'm gonna get myself together. And then boom, you're back to normal. And then you have to engage in engaging God in the moment like that. You have to literally say out loud, God, I'm having a moment. I need you. Having a moment, I need you. I need your peace. Okay. Now you're being guarded again. You're guarding your emotions right now against what the enemy's trying to do in that moment. Right. And you're standing firm and knowing that God's going to give you that peace. That's the spiritual answer. That's the spiritual answer. The promise is still the promise. So even though you may feel like you lost a part of your body, he still is holding on. God don't lie. When God moves, he's always in production. He's always producing something good. Even when it feels like he's not moving, he's still producing something in us. All right. And then the second thing is making sure you engage him in the situation. Engage him in your emotions. Don't let them try to hold those emotions on by yourself. Engage in those emotions. The third thing, this is the practical thing. Find somewhere that gives you peace. That can't nobody touch you in. Right. For me, I promise you, I turned my backyard into a complete oasis. I went and got a fountain off Amazon. I went and got a fire pit. I got backyard lights. I got a little table for my little cocktails. I got a table. I got grill. I got a big giant table. Like I turned my backyard into something peaceful. Yes. Right. So that anytime I need to do something or anytime I need to go find peace, can't nobody touch me there. Nobody's allowed to touch me there unless I invite you there. My backyard is fenced in. It's right about here. It's fenced in, and like I go out there and I just sit late at night, early in the morning, in the middle of the day. I do that. I find myself and I just sit in peace, and because I know what this grief thing can bring. Yeah, I know. Here's another thing I do. I embrace naps. Literally, when I get off work at 2:00, I come upstairs. I come home. I'm gonna lay down and take me a nap. And so I want him to hear, I want you guys to hear the big picture here. Find things to do that bring you peace. Right. Physically fine. Don't just not do anything. Don't just, because you have to create intentionally. You took the word right out of my mouth. You have to be intentional about finding the peace now. Because if we don't, your mind is going to go idle and the enemy is going to play on the grief. And that grief is going to create new emotions that you didn't even know you had. It's going to trigger emotions and things that you didn't even know that was in there. So what you have to do is understand that I have to intentionally find things, even if it's just me taking a walk, playing rain music in my headphones while I take the walk. You have to be intentional about those things because the things that you've done before this moment, they're not going to work anymore because those are the things you did when this moment didn't exist. Now this moment exists. You almost have to create new things. You really do. To address a whole new you, because this is a whole new you. People not going. When people say time is going to heal, they ain't never experienced stuff like this. It's going to be here forever. Yeah, this is one of those moments, and I don't want to scare people when I say that grief is going to be here forever. Yeah, it may be here forever, but you're going to be so much stronger because of it, because it's causing and forcing you to do something different. Right. And again, I said this earlier, we thrive, and when we thrive, we're supposed to thrive. Some people don't, but we're supposed to thrive and become stronger in those uncomfortable spaces when we embrace those uncomfortable spaces. And so now we're
so hard like that. You can only be better if that's what you choose.
You can only be better
unless you choose already been to the hardest thing ever. Like you can throw anything at me.
It's one of those things where either you're going to choose to get out of the bed and literally embrace these moments and find things to do. Now, some people may say, well, I'm in a space where I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't find it. Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to change your narrative. You need to change your vocabulary. The reason you can't find it is because you're telling yourself you can't find it.
I be yelling at my friends whenever they say they can't do something. I'm
it's like
you're telling yourself. So annoyed.
You're not even giving yourself a fighting chance to actually to see if taking a shower is going to give you peace. Literally. To see if taking a walk is going to give you peace. Even
just walking outside will just make your mind just do something different. Like you got to get there.
You have to. You cannot just say, "All right, I'm dealing with grief," and then go sit on the couch, and then turn on Instagram, turn on CNN, turn on. Now you're looking at death all over the place. You're looking at other people who are not dealing with the death. Now you blind leading the blind. Before you know it, you taking medication. You doing self-medicating. You're next thing you know, you got a loaded pistol in your hand. Literally.
Everything's my nesting in a sense. I was really proud of him for even expressing this because I know a lot of people just wouldn't. But he said, he lost one friend back in high school that drowned. It was a tragic thing, and then now this one. And my brother is so talented, beyond smart, the smartest person I've ever met in my life. And I'm biased probably, but whatever.
Before you met me.
I'm dead. No, for real though. And so he was kind of saying, in a sense, he would have these thoughts and he would be like, why them and not me? Cause he's so humble. He's they're way smarter. They had so much more to give to the community, to whatever, all this type of stuff. And he'll think that why them and not me? And I didn't even have an answer for that because I never even felt that or even heard it before. So it was dang, okay.
That can be. I want to encourage him to stop using that narrative. Stop asking that question.
Right.
Stop asking that question, because that question can cause these self-defeating thoughts that you may not be adequate enough to do what you're called to do.
Right.
And so what happens is people will say, why them and not me, and feel like that's being humble, but that's not being humble. It's almost being selfish.
Right.
You're questioning God on what he's doing at that moment.
Right.
All right. And there's no problem with questioning God on what he's doing at that moment, but you don't want to do it to the point where it's going to cause you to question yourself. Because now you're not
what they would want you to be doing.
Yeah, now you're not standing firm in who you are.
Would not want him to be thinking that. He'd be like, "My nigga, no, stop it right now.
Chill, bro. We good. We good." Yeah. But now you're questioning. Now, when you ask that question, why them and not me? You're essentially asking. You're not standing firm in who you are. And God has you. It's why them, not you. Is because you are called to do something.
They might have already done what they needed to do.
They would need to do. They already done. And here's the
talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
That
thing. People don't understand that suffering, when we suffer like this, it's only going to bring information that's going to cause inspiration. Suffering brings information that causes inspiration. Perfect example is that Kobe. We all suffered Kobe. But guess what Kobe's death did? It provided information. What information did it provide? It's dope to be a girl dad. And now watch this.
And it's dope to actually practice and dedicate yourself to.
It's dope to your craft, whatever your craft is. You got mama mentality in everything. Mama mentality in being a lawyer. Mama mentality in being a doctor. Mama mentality in being a podcast host. But here's the beautiful thing about that though. It's dope to be a girl dad. Now they showed the world how dope it was to be a girl dad. Now watch the inspiration. We had a whole hashtag.
It's a whole movement, and
it's a whole movement of girl dad. Now guys are dressing up in tutus in the backyard.
No, for real.
Girl dad. Her hashtag girl dad.
Which will change so much on just because women have like daddy issues and all these things. Like that's gonna change
so much. That was a generational change. And so I want to encourage your brother to not say why them and not me, because when he says that, he's missing the information that's going to inspire him to make a change.
Yes, that's good. That's so good.
Because his mind is clogged up on why them, not me, why them, not me. And if he can clear that out of his mind, he's gonna have a sound mind, a clear mind. He's gonna gain some information off this suffering, and it's gonna inspire him to not only change his life, but change your life, change his boy's life, change his family life, change his future kids' life. But he first has to stop asking them that question.
I love that.
So that he can gain the information.
Thank you. Okay, my last question.
Let's get it.
Like just to close it out.
All right.
I guess like it would be in a sense like what does God's love mean to you, or how would you personally describe God's love? And then we could just like end it there.
Have you ever seen the clip where I'm gonna show you what God's love looks like? And it's weird because it doesn't make sense, but it's gonna make sense. Okay. It's gonna make sense. So this is what God love looks like to me. Have you ever? I seen the clip where there was a bunch of like dogs, like hound dogs, and they were barking at I don't know if it was a bobcat or it was some type of wild animal. They were barking at it. They were hound dogs. They were trying to figure out how to attack this dog, And the hunter had this pit, probably like the size of me, in the back of the truck. He opened up the gate. The pit came out, wasn't no barking. He ran straight to it, grabbed him in the neck, and took him down. When I think of God's love, I think it's like that. It's that aggressive. I'm gonna love you so much that I'm gonna take you down. I'm gonna love. It's reckless. It's true reckless love.
Right.
That nothing's gonna stop me from loving you. I don't care what you did in the college. I don't care what you did last night. I don't care what you're doing right now. I don't care what you're thinking right now. I still love you. I just love you, and I want you to love me back. God's love is you cannot describe it. You can't. It's one of those things where you only place on this earth where you're gonna find peace. Right. It's the true definition of love. The true definition of love. It's like when you saw Jesus and how he handled Judas. True definition of love. How he washed his feet, washed those guys' feet in the Last Supper. True definition of love. How he was still humble when those people were throwing rocks at him. True definition of love. When he was hung on the cross and still said, God, forgive them for they do not know what they've done. True definition of love. Love it's not boastful. It endures. It does not keep a record of wrongdoing. The true definition of love. And I look at love and I see people carry this thing out, love. Oh, he don't love me because he didn't get me dinner. That ain't love. That ain't love. That ain't love. If you want to know love, I want you to read the story and watch how Jesus behaved at the Last Supper. That's how you see love. That's the definition of love in my eyes.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. This was
thank you.
The best. I don't even know where this random thought on Easter. I'm like literally tearing up. Like, okay, bring it in. Okay, this random thought like on Easter, I was like, oh my God, this would be so good. But I didn't think how it would go. I didn't like. All I knew was the combo that I heard. And honestly, I thought that you were a grief therapist. That's what I thought or whatever, because of how you were speaking about it on the call. Platform. So that like if you ever were even thinking about adding that to your stuff, for sure, should definitely do that, especially for like Black people who experience so much grief. Like, that'd be amazing. But no, thank you for this. I'll let you know when everything comes out. Okay. This is great. I'm about to go up here and cry, but
have that healthy cry.
I'm a cry baby. My listeners know that I be crying, so we're good. But
there's nothing wrong with a good cry. Crying is taking the soul to the laundry mat.
Right. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And have a good day, a good week, and I will send you all the things and whatnot.
All right.
Okay. Cool. Bye.
Bye. See you.